Hey, it's Carrie Carrico with Carrie Carrico Real Estate. I am so lucky to be here with Mary Lauren Castelloe from Heritage Title. We are going to talk all about title insurance, what it is, why you need it, if you need it, and what does it do. Mary Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you, Carrie?
I am doing fabulous. God,
Good.
it's like the weekend, so
And it's almost March.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
March is
know.
the best.
I know. Yeah, but like, oh, the weather will be better soon. So I'm
I know
so
it.
excited.
I know when I walked outside yesterday and today and it was warm and I was like, oh, this feels nice. Hopefully
Yeah,
there's no cold front, but
you
I don't
never
know.
know. Yeah,
Still saw
yeah,
his shadows.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Oh, I'm so tired of cold weather. So yeah, I agree. And like, well, it's just so close to being spring. I know we'll get cold again a few times, but still,
Yes, I know.
like,
And I love that it's lighter for longer in the
oh, I
evenings.
know.
It's so nice.
Yeah, that's like the best. Like, oh, I
It
love
is.
it. Yeah, as I went walking, I can't remember what day it was, like and it was like later, and I was like, oh, this is so nice. This is going to be so fabulous.
I
Um,
know. It is
I get
nice.
so excited about that.
I know.
So
It just kind of like makes you feel better
yeah,
all around. So it's
yeah,
fun.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, I guess we should probably hop in and start talking about title insurance. And I'm so excited again that you were able to come on here because weirdly enough, I keep getting questions about title insurance. And I'm like, and one of my sellers is like, you don't have a video on it. And I was like, oh, you're right. I, you were on my list to contact. So I was like, oh, well, we need to do it now.
I
Um,
know. Well, I'm grateful to be here. I'm excited. I know title insurance is not always the most fun topic, but it's really important, and every buyer should 100% know at least a little bit about title insurance.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you get into title insurance and with Heritage Title?
So I went to Appalachian State University, go Mountaineers,
Yeah,
and I have a degree in political science. So I always thought that I wanted to do something in politics,
yeah.
and I had to do an internship.
Mhm.
And I, through a friend of a friend of a friend,
Yeah.
started working as a paralegal at an attorney's office.
Hmm.
And I did my internship there, and then I became a paralegal there. And so that's where I got connected with real estate law. And from there, I got hired by Investors Title Insurance Company, which is Heritage parent
Oh,
company.
uh-huh.
And I was an underwriter there for a few years. And then in 2023, I got a call from Heritage, and they said we need someone to help out with marketing. We are expanding across the state.
Yeah.
We have 12 KW market centers that we work with, and we need some help. And it was a huge blessing for
Yeah.
me that I didn't even know that I needed or wanted, but I love it so much. I love connecting with people. I love getting to know people and their, what they're doing in their lives and what's going on with them. And just be able to be a resource. I always tell people, I want to be a friend first and a resource second. I want you to be able to trust me and know
Yeah.
that you can come to me, and then I value, obviously the business part of it too, but I really value the friendship part of it.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, that's so awesome how it's so
Thank
funny
you.
how you like start with a degree on one thing and then end up, because
I
like
know.
I have a psychology degree, but honestly,
Awesome.
I get to use it all the time. I, I have
Oh,
buyer's
that's
remorse.
I know, I know. It's so funny. I mean, I still love like all things like history and
Yeah.
the history of politics, all the things like that. But
Yeah.
sometimes this is a little too deep. I'm like, I like a little more
Yeah.
fun, and I love events with attorneys and realtors like you. So that's more of my specialty and where my heart is.
Yeah, well, that's fabulous. Well, okay, so I want to like make sure that we value your time. So let's jump into all my millions of questions.
I'm ready.
The first question is, what is title insurance and why is it so important for home buyers?
Okay, perfect. That's a great question. So I think a lot of times people assume that title insurance is just any other type of insurance, like homeowners insurance or auto insurance, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And it does have the same idea. I mean, it's a
Uh,
protection, it's a coverage,
yeah.
but title insurance protects the buyer from the day they purchase their home backwards. So it
Mhm.
protects if any defects or claims that come on the property or against the title once you purchase.
Mhm.
A lot of times, especially like in rural communities, especially like some of them in North Carolina, you may have an uncle who gave his son some land and then it got passed down through
Yeah.
family generations and but deeds were never recorded and it
Yeah.
was not ever legally documented. And so then down the line, you're like, that's my property,
Yeah.
and and so there's a lot of things like that, as well as like easements, access, right of ways, how to get and access your property,
Mhm.
um, fraud and things like that. So title insurance protects from all of those things. So whereas homeowners insurance, and I can't touch super big on this because it's
Yeah.
not my specialty, but homeowners insurance would protect you moving forward after you buy your home with all the things that are to come.
Yeah.
Title insurance protects you from the date of closing backwards. So if anything from the years past come up, it will protect you from those things.
Okay. So, what is the difference between title insurance and mortgage insurance? Just so everyone knows, because I think it can be kind of confusing because, like, are they the same thing? Are they different? Or, like, you
So,
know,
title insurance, are you asking like loan
well, like,
policy type
yeah, just
insurance?
like mortgage insurance that, like people talk, yeah, yeah, loan insurance. Yeah.
Okay. So there are two types of insurance, title
Uh-huh.
insurance.
Yeah.
There's the owner's coverage and the loan coverage, the loan or the lender's coverage.
Uh-huh.
They are all under the title insurance umbrella. And when you purchase a home and let's say you have a loan or a lender involved. Now,
Hmm.
if you have a buyer who's paying cash, then the loan policy doesn't apply to them.
Yeah.
But the loan policy protects the lender, and then the owner's policy will protect the owner, the
Okay.
buyer. So those are kind of the differences. And between you and I and all of the people who are watching the video, I would never purchase a home without an owner's policy, just for the protection that it offers me. I mean, just for the minute amount of money that it costs, it
Yeah.
is well worth it. I mean, it would be very risky not to purchase something that can protect you in case of something happening,
Yeah.
heaven forbid, something bad happens, like a fraudulent type activity or anything of that sort. So,
Yeah.
so the owner protects the owner, and then the loan is associated with the mortgage or the lender.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So, with title insurance, do you recommend title insurance for condos and townhouses as well? Or do you feel like it's just home owners insurance? Because that's a
Yes.
question I have a lot.
Yeah, I recommend it for everything. So whether
Okay.
it's a condo, a townhome, regular home, if it's land, anything, if it's a new build, new construction, anything and everything, if you are purchasing the property, you need title insurance.
Mhm.
And that's not a sales gimmick. That is just genuine, honest
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I would feel like I was doing a disservice to say that someone could pass by through a closing without getting it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's been really hard, like, to explain that to clients. That's why I'm so excited that I get you to explain it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's a big deal.
Right.
Sure. So can you kind of go through or walk through the title insert I can't talk today. Title insurance search process when you're searching the title. How does
Yeah,
that work?
that's a great question. So a lot of times I get asked, um, do you guys work with the attorney or do you compete with the closing attorney or how does that work?
Yeah.
And we work together. North Carolina is a bifurcated state, and what that means is you must have an attorney at your closing.
Mhm.
So every single buyer, there's going to be an attorney, should be an attorney at the
Yeah.
closing table. And the attorney or their paralegal, whomever is doing that, does the title search.
Mhm.
And sometimes they contract out and have like an abstract or searcher, but
Mhm.
they do the title search and then they will send us the preliminary title opinion.
Mhm.
And that's what we use to ensure the property. So
Mhm.
then we would send the commitment back to the attorney, and then that's kind of how we work together. So I know there are kind of a lot of big technical words, but we
Yeah.
work together. And so, you know, if you have a client and you have a buyer, they're wanting to purchase 100 Main Street, and they come to you and they're like, Carrie, I'm ready to, purchase this house, or
Yeah.
we found the one.
Yeah.
Then you would let the closing attorney know, that you work with Heritage, and that's who your buyer in the. Let me add this as well. In North Carolina, it is the buyer's choice to select the title company. So we are backed by a strong underwriter of Investors Title,
Yeah.
and they have been around for 40 to 50 plus years. And so they are our parent company. They are our underwriter. We write on their paper, technically insurance wise, but Heritage is its own entity.
Mhm.
But we are backed by their strong underwriter. So
Uh,
there's tons of title insurance companies out there, but we do have a partnership with Keller Williams and with agents like you. So so you would. Sorry, I kind of got off track.
yeah. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Shocker.
Yeah.
So, so then you would let the closing attorney know
Yeah.
that, and they would sign, your buyers would sign our selection form, and it
Yeah.
would say, we have selected Heritage Title as our title insurance provider.
Yeah.
And they would sign that, send it to the attorney, and then we would start the process of working to see if we had a prior title policy, and then we would work to insure the property with the closing attorney and all the, in the weeds type things back with
Yeah.
on the back end of things with the closing attorney.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's excellent. So now on to like more probably a fun topic. What
Okay.
are the most common title insurance issues that you see come up?
The most common title insurance issues that we see are number one, I would say surveys. Um, always get a survey.
Yeah.
You never know what someone has put on the property since it was last
Yeah.
exchanged hands. You never know, you don't want to be living in your new home and then someone say, well, actually, like this is my property line,
Yeah.
and a third of your house is on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, so survey issues are kind of big, and it's hard because surveyors are so busy right now.
Yeah.
And so, um, just trying to navigate that. And I know the waiting process can be kind of, you
Yeah.
know,
It's really long.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so
And
long. Yeah.
it is, but it's well worth it. So I would definitely say it's well worth it, to get a survey. Some other issues, I would say fraud is a really big issue right now.
Mhm.
Um, without going into too much,
Yeah.
technical detail, there in personal detail, but there have been a lot of cases of fraud lately,
Hmm.
where people make fake deeds, which I know sounds crazy, and you're like, no one does that. Well,
No, they do.
sure enough, they go get on their computer and they type up a Word document, and they can make a fake deed just as
Yeah.
much as they can make a fake ID,
Yeah.
and it happens. And so that I would say those are the two big issues right now that we're seeing, um, that really raised some red flags for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. So, just off the topic, because I didn't have this, like I just thought of this question. Is it important for title insurance on new construction? Because that's actually one of my sellers asked me that about the house they're going to
Yes,
buy. Is it? Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
So
the benefits for that?
So, and some, I do want to add this in, some construction, if they're a big builder like this, big statewide or
Yeah.
nationwide builders, they do sometimes have their own title companies,
Mhm.
and we understand that.
Yeah.
But some of the smaller builders and developers don't. So we always, recommend seeing if that's something, if they have a rule and you have to use their title company, we get that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we work with a ton of smaller builders, I guess you would say, or
Yeah.
mid-size. And so we can do new construction. And a lot of times people say, what's a new house? How could it have any title problems?
Exactly.
But the land was there. and the property has been there, no matter if it was a forest of trees or what it
Um,
was, but the land was there. So, um, you know, that's you always want to get a title search and insure that property. And then also just for, for peace of mind, I would say just
yeah,
even if you know that the property's been sitting there for 100 years with nothing on it and they
yeah,
just wipe the trees clean and built you a new house, you
yeah.
still want to get, the title insurance for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So I sold this house in Greensboro, and it's so funny because
Hmm.
it's right near this huge development. And I'm from out west, so title and insurance and like the whole mineral and oil kind of like
Hmm.
makes sense to me just because it's like
Right.
a thing out there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, because I'm like from, I lived in Nevada and California. Anyways, so mineral
Hmm.
and oil rights is a thing.
Yeah.
And selling them is a thing out there, a little bit more than here. But
Hmm.
it's funny, this house I sold in Greensboro just happened to be on this acreage that somebody 100 years ago, literally, I was like 105 years ago, had actually sold the mineral and oil rights.
Oh no.
So, and it came up on the title. So
Uh-huh.
we had to go through and figure out like how to get this house sold. And it's funny
Hmm.
because there's like a whole new construction development. I'm like, how did that go? So it kind of like, it was really interesting because, we had to deal with the title insurance and it was like so
Right.
good that the seller had title insurance because
Hmm.
there was actually, we found like a different ruling, like, or whatever, I can't remember what it was called, that if they didn't use their rights in 100 years, like they could, like we were
Okay.
good,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
that's the only way we could get the house
Oh,
closed,
wow.
like pulling that. So like I think it's so important even on new construction
Hmm.
because of weird stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Like how in
Absolutely.
the world is there like 25 or 30 acres in Greensboro that somebody sold the rights?
Well, I always just think of it, like the land has been there since
Yeah,
the beginning of time. So like
yeah,
it's things have happened,
yeah,
whether homes have been built on it or not,
yeah,
the land may have not always been in the same homeowner's hand, or in the same
yeah,
property owner's hands. You never know. So it's so important to insure it and get that title search and kind of
yeah.
see what the chain of title is, see what's happened in the past.
Oh, I agree. I agree. So with title insurance, how long does it last? Like when somebody purchases it?
So it's a one-time fee that you pay at closing and it lasts
Okay.
for the duration of the home,
Mhm.
or the duration of you owning the property.
Okay.
So when a new buyer, if you sell your home and you have title insurance, they'll have to buy title insurance.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's just a one-time fee that you pay at closing. So it's not like a reoccurring fee or anything like that, which
Yeah.
is nice. I think that
Yeah.
a lot of insurances, you pay a lot of different types of insurances. Let me say you
Yeah.
pay on a regular schedule or monthly or whatever, but this is just that one time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know we kind of covered this, but we can kind of cover this again.
Yeah.
Some buyers like considering skipping title insurance, to save the money. Why do you feel like that's a risky move?
I feel like that is one of the riskiest moves.
Yeah.
So I don't know why someone honestly would want to skip out on that.
Mhm.
And if I'm being honest, I think you would have to sign that you do not want title insurance. So it's not
Yeah.
something that you can just be like, yeah, we'll take it or not.
Yeah.
It's a big deal if you say you don't want it because
Yeah.
everyone, and I know a lot of closing attorneys in the state. And I think if I were to tell any of them, hey, like, what do you think if someone doesn't want title insurance? They'd probably be like, that's insane. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's so risky.
Yeah.
Also, because it's not that expensive. If you're purchasing a home, title insurance is a very, very, very small portion of that, of the closing costs. It's a
Yeah.
very small portion. If you're dishing out, 200, even if you're dishing out $100,000, you know, it would be really risky not to get title insurance. And it's just a small amount. And it is based, the price of title insurance is based on the purchase price of the home.
Uh-huh.
So, the lower the purchase price, the lower the title insurance is. And of course, the opposite, the more
Yeah.
the home
Yeah.
is, the purchase price, then the more the title insurance is. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're buying a home, it's crazy not to buy
Yeah.
title insurance just because of how much it protects you and how many risks. I always say, nobody ever wants insurance of any type. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to pay for, I don't want to pay for medical insurance necessarily. I don't want that coming. I'd love to spend that money on my
Yeah.
nails and my hair, but at the same time, the second
Yeah.
I get sick, I'm so grateful that I have it. So, I think it's like that. It's like any type of insurance. You're so
Yeah.
grateful you have it if you need it. Um, and that does bring, if you don't mind, can
Yeah.
I bring up another point that I just wanted to cover? There are two types of owners. So we talked about owner's policy and the loan policy or the
Yeah.
lender's policy. There's
Yeah.
also two types of the owner's policy. One is the standard, and that's what you're going to get if you just pay for the regular owner's coverage that is pretty much offered anywhere,
Yeah.
anybody's going to offer that to you.
Yeah.
But we also offer the Alta Homeowners Enhanced Owners Coverage, and that's a really long tongue
Yeah.
twister of a word. Just to say, it is the enhanced policy, the enhanced owner's policy, and it has 40 coverages as opposed to the
Oh.
standard owner's policy, which has 13.
Uh-huh.
And some of those coverages, I actually have been just teaching on this. So I have my little paper
Yeah.
right here.
Oh, we'd love to hear it.
Some of those coverages, they include access to your property, like actual access to the property, the forgery and fraud that we had talked about,
Yeah.
um, encroachments, like if your neighbor has encroached onto your property or has built something,
Yeah.
and it's crossed over on the line. Also, it has lifetime coverage for the policy holder even after the home is sold.
Oh.
So that's really big. And then also it has survey coverage. I kind of touched on, it has survey coverage, which includes, I want to just mention these: forced removal of existing structures that encroach into your neighbor's land, forced removal of existing structures that encroach into an easement or over a building setback line, and marketability coverage if your neighbor's existing improvements encroach into your land. So all of that is basically saying, like, if you have any survey issues, or if you have any fraud issues,
Yeah.
or if you have, I look through all these things all the time.
Yeah.
And I have, sorry, I was reaching for this. Hold
Yeah.
on.
No, that's good.
If there's any damages to existing structures due to a third parties, right? So if there's damages, it has so many more coverages and it's only 20% more in cost.
Wow.
So when I look at the grand scheme of things, and I'm just looking at, like, in the owner's policy bubble, and I see, okay, we've got the standard owner's policy here. It has the 13 coverages, and then I have the enhanced homeowner's policy here. I've got 40 coverages, and the price difference is only 20% more. To
Yeah.
me, it's a no-brainer. I've actually had agents say, why would anyone just get the standard? There's only one reason, in my opinion, why someone wouldn't get the standard, and that's because there are a few things you do have to qualify for certain things. Like, so if it's over 25 acres, that you can't get the
Mhm.
enhanced. And it does have to be a platted or residential subdivision. So there
Mhm.
are a few um, qualifications, I guess you could say, but it does cover a lot of the properties, especially
Yeah.
so many are in developments or HOAs and subdivisions, and even if it's landed, a lot of times it's not going to be 25 acres. I mean, it very well could be, but I was actually pricing it out for someone the other day,
Uh-huh.
and the purchase price of the home was, I believe it was around half a million. I think it was about, yeah, half a million. And when I calculated the standard versus the enhanced, the difference
Yeah.
was the enhanced was $133 more. And I'm like, this is insane. If you don't get the enhanced, like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy it for you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. Well, it's so funny that you're saying that about the subdivisions because I have this one client. I love him to death, and he's so great. And he gives me a lot of different client like referral clients. But he was just
Uh-huh.
telling me that just recently the city came to him and they're like, "Hey, you have to clean up your shrubbery or something." And he's like, "That's not that you see a fence right there." Come to find out, this like subdivision in Winston-Salem, clearly all the lot lines are like completely wrong. Like his building on his
Hmm.
property, and this neighbor has been in probably, let's say 2008.
Uh-huh.
2009. That's when it was built. Um,
Hmm.
his building, his garage is on the other person's property.
Oh,
I
yep,
mean, it's insane. So I could see that
it
this would
is.
come into like really good use, like in that
Absolutely.
situation. Because I mean, the first thing he did is he called me and he's like, Carrie, what do I do? He's like,
Right.
my half my garage is in the store. He's like,
Right.
the city's making me weed eat like my neighbor's property because they're like, no, that's yours. And so like it's incredibly crazy, you
And
know.
these things happen all the time. And I
Yeah,
think that, you know, we don't walk around thinking about these
yeah,
things, happening. But when you really do kind of dive in and think about it, you're like, oh,
yeah,
like, yeah, I can see that. Someone
yeah,
does have, oh, at my parents' house, my neighbor's building was kind of always on our property a little
yeah,
bit, but I mean, we never really, but that could be an issue, that's an
yeah,
issue. And so I think that having this enhanced policy, and what's kind of crazy is a lot of folks are not talking about it and they don't know about the enhanced
yeah,
policy because I mean, it's another thing. And there's so many things that buyers deal with at the closing table and before closing and everything. And
yeah,
we get that it's a lot, but I never would want to like pull the blinders out and,
yeah,
not let someone know that, we have this extra coverage, this other policy
yeah,
that just for a small amount more. I mean, you're talking $500,000 and it was only $133 more.
yeah.
So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
If your property, qualifies, of course, for in
Yeah,
those qualifications, but it's a
yeah.
no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. So we kind of talked about real life experiences like with these issues. Do you have
Mhm.
anything that like jumps out at you that's like one of the biggest real life issues you've seen with somebody that had title insurance that popped up?
We did have, and everyone can Google it
Yeah.
too. Don't you know it's a big deal? And when you can say you can Google it and you'll
Yeah. Yeah, you know it's big.
in Raleigh, there was an issue. Um, there was a guy who lived in a gated community in a very nice neighborhood in Raleigh. He had a $4 million home, and someone had been falsifying deeds and recording them at the Register of Deeds office in Wade County,
Oh wow.
and claimed that property was hers. So,
Oh my gosh. That's like
so
horrible.
and we're talking gated community, so it's like
How does that happen?
that. But and they weren't our clients, so we
Yeah.
didn't get in, to the nitty-gritty of it all, as far as the title and stuff. But we did talk about it, and that's why it's so important to have the title insurance because if someone were to do that, this is when title insurance comes into play. This is what protects you.
Yeah.
I mean, you would never, even if your home was worth $1, that's your home. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want someone coming in and taking that off from under you without you
Yeah.
knowing it. And so I think that was one of the biggest ones for me. And when I saw it all over the news, I saw it on the
That's
local news, and
insane.
I saw it on I saw it, I think it was, I don't even know, one of the news stations that's like national was posting it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe that
It's
people
just
make
horrible.
time to do this and their schedules to
Well,
falsify these deeds. But
well, people do that stuff with like like people
oh,
can
I
figure out
know.
everything. Like
Oh, I know.
it's absolutely insane. Like and with houses too. Like I have to warn every single buyer and seller. I'm like, do not respond to an email if you do not
Mhm.
know who it is. Like tell me
Right.
what it is because I'm like,
Right.
you never know. And
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
yeah, piece
Well,
of
and I think that
oh
also
yeah,
I like to just touch
yeah,
touch on and say, a lot of times with, you guys, we're in the Triad area. Well,
yeah,
some people have vacation homes in the mountains or at the coast or whatever.
yeah,
And so you're not there. Like that's a technically vacant property. No one's living there. You may have neighbors there or someone that
yeah,
checks on it regularly. You may go a couple times a year, but it's nothing for someone to come up and just put a for sale sign in that front yard. And I mean, you're not there to know about it. So, one resource that we do have, and I'm happy to share it with you,
yeah,
is there are 70 counties out of the 100 in the state of North Carolina that have free property property search check, I guess is the technical term. And you can go in there, you just click on your county. Let's say I'm in Randolph and I type in, my home address or whatever properties I own and I
Yeah.
just save it. And so if anything is recorded under that property address, it will automatically ping you and let you know, send you an email immediately. So that's great if you're living in the home, and that's
Yeah.
especially great if you're not living in the home.
Yeah.
So that's a really great resource. It's a free resource, and I think it's worth taking 5 seconds, to put your email
Yeah.
in and your
Yeah.
address. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You'll have to give that to me and
yes,
so we
I
can put that
will.
in the comments below with
Yeah,
all your info because I mean
I
that's like
will.
super important. Definitely,
Yes.
definitely for sure. So not like really skipping topics, but kind of like going to a topic when a buyer is choosing a title company, is there any red flags that that they should be aware of when they're choosing, or how does that work?
Yeah, I guess you could say so. Would always want to make sure that the title company has a very strong, financially stable underwriter,
Yeah.
um, which Heritage does by having Investors Title as our underwriter, because they're dealing with all this stuff. And, if a claim were to be filed, you want to make sure you have a financially stable
Yeah.
company that can back you. So I'd say that's really important. And there are title companies, a dime a dozen. They're everywhere these
Yeah.
days. Um, in the state of North Carolina, an attorney cannot own a title company.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So that, if you were to say like, oh, my attorney owns a title company, that would be a big red flag for me.
Yeah.
Because that's a no-no.
Yeah.
So I think those, and just make sure, that you're getting good communication and good customer service. I think that those
Yeah.
are important. I mean, maybe they're not as technical, type things to say, but, I think customer service is really important. You need someone that you don't have to dial, just some number and 12 extensions and,
Yeah.
be on hold for an hour and a half. You want someone
Yeah.
that you can give a call and they'll pick up or call you right back, or that you can text or email.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's really important. Same with, your attorney and stuff. You want to make sure that there's someone that then you can call on, and building that rapport with them. And
Yeah.
also it's nice, in the future. So if you, buy another property or whatever, you
Yeah.
have someone that you can trust. And um, I think that clientele type, relationship is really important.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and relationships are really important as far as that goes. You want someone that you can trust and that you can talk to, and someone also that's going to kind of give it to you, like give it to you straight, like, hey, look, this seems really sketchy, or like
Yeah.
this doesn't seem right to me. Carrie, I don't think this is a great option for your buyer.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of title problems. Like, obviously it's y'all's call, but like, let's dive into these problems a little more. You want someone that you can have that real raw conversation with, because we're not here just to sell here at Heritage. We're not here just to sell title insurance. We want to make sure that you're happy, that you're protected, that you're comfortable, that you get wonderful customer service from us. And that that if you have questions, you can ask us.
Yeah.
I'm the queen. People laugh and they're like, "You're the queen of questions, Mary Lauren." I'm like, "Yes, I am. If you don't
Yeah.
ask, you don't know." But
Yeah.
you want someone that you can ask questions, that you feel comfortable asking these questions to, and that you know that they'll answer you. And if they don't, I always tell people too, I say, I am not an expert, but I know some people who
Yeah.
even more than know more than I do. And if I can't get you an answer, if I don't know the answer, I can get you the answer.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important too, be able to have resources in your pocket, because we are not perfect and we do not know everything.
Yeah.
But the resources that we have, we're able to make that, have those connections and reach out to a title attorney if we need it. I just had to reach out to one last week for somebody. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So what happens if like somebody comes up to your door and or and you have a problem, or you get something in the mail and they're like, "Hey, you don't own this property anymore." How do buyers or sellers handle that? I'm like, what do they do
So
first?
First and foremost, I would always call the attorney
Yeah.
that did your closing.
Mhm.
I think that's the best place to start,
Okay.
because that way they have, I would say they have all of information as far as, they have we have, of course, we have the title insurance part,
Yeah.
but I would definitely contact your closing attorney. That's a great place to start because
Okay.
a lot of times people don't know who their title company is, or they may have
Yeah.
forgotten or whatever.
Yeah.
So between them and us, the title attorney or the closing attorney, I'm sorry, and the title company, we're able to get all the documents, all the information that we need, and we can, therefore, if we need to file a claim or whatever it is,
Yeah.
or if a claim is filed, we're able to figure that situation out
Yeah.
and give you the next steps and the right advice and the next, the contacts. And I'm not going to say it's going to be fun,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I always say, I had a friend, I'm sure he won't mind me telling this, but
Yeah.
he called me the other day and he said, Mary Lauren, he lives in Wilmington
Yeah.
and he lives there, but he also has a couple of properties in New Hanover County that he uses as rental properties, and some
Yeah.
are vacant right now that he's waiting on renters and whatnot. And he said, Mary Lauren, I got a call today, and it was a listing agent, and they said, hey, we saw your properties for sale. And he's like, I didn't list my property. And he's like, I did not do that. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like on all of the websites. It's, 100 South Main Street or whatever, obviously that's
Yeah.
not the property, but 100 South Main Street is on all these real estate listings, it's on all these
Yeah.
websites. And he's like, nope, that's not. And they're like, are you so and so? And he's like, yeah. They're like, no, this is fraudulent. Like, this is not a good situation. So
Yeah.
luckily he was able to be in contact with his closing attorney who he did the closings with. He went ahead and signed up for the property search, the free property search that I was talking about. And I said, put all your properties in here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even though he lives 5 minutes down the road, it still happened. It's still
Crazy.
fraudulent activity happened.
Yeah.
So I said, call your closing attorney. Let's see what we need to do. Let's see if
Yeah.
anything. Fortunately, nothing had transpired. So he was able to, I think it was just someone just being malicious and manipulative. I don't even know. But nonetheless, like, what if they had sold that property out from under him? There's so many what ifs.
Yeah.
So it was great to kind of nip it in the bud
Yeah.
um,
That's
before anything happened. So we
yeah.
always, or we say call the closing attorney, get the title company involved,
Mhm.
and then we'll get, if we need to get our, the claims department involved, we'll take matters from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, does title insurance cover like unpaid taxes, HOA fees, or like liens on the property as well?
So you will have to, so if they're this might be
Yeah.
something at the end. Um, I'm sorry, Carrie.
Yeah.
So the mechanics liens are covered in the Alta homeowners policy.
Okay.
Um, as far as like HOAs and stuff, they would have to pay that
Yeah.
themselves.
That's kind of a new thing too, I think, in the last
Okay.
couple of years. So that, I mean, that's why I was kind of
And I
curious.
could be wrong about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like that one I don't actually know how to answer because I know they have to pay him, but I know they can put a lien, the HOA now can put a lien on the property.
Right.
So that's why I was kind of curious of
Yeah.
how that went down.
That's a great question. That's definitely something I could find out about though.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know because
Yes, I
like
will.
I was, my one buyer that was like, hey, I don't know why, should I get, title insurance for the condo? I mean, does it make sense? But then I was thinking, well, about like that, like HOA, I mean, like, what if something happened?
Right.
I mean, it's probably important
I mean, if it's
covered.
if you have an HOA, it's definitely important. You still want title insurance. Now, as far as
Yeah,
how it ties in with like if the HOA, I'm not certain as to how it affects if the HOA were to come in and like
yeah,
do
yeah,
something. I need to research that a little bit. That's a good
yeah,
question.
yeah. I was
I
just
love when
curious.
my brain is picked
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
bit.
I know. Sorry, I'm throwing that on you.
No, that's
I was just
okay.
kind of curious. What's one thing you wish every home buyer knew about title insurance?
That's a good question. What is one thing that I wish every buyer new about title insurance?
Yeah.
Hmm. There's a lot of things. The
Yeah.
main thing that I would say is I wish that people, I wish, and I mean this in the nicest way, I
Yeah.
wish that title insurance is very, it's complicated, but it's also not. And I think it's really important that buyers take a little bit of time to just educate themselves. Not, you don't have to read a whole encyclopedia about title
Yeah.
insurance. But I think it's really important to know what you're buying and what coverages it has because one, you want to know what you're spending your money on. And
Yeah.
two, you want to know in the back of your head that if something were to happen, that you're protected. Oh, I remember we got title insurance for this, so that we are protected for all these things. So, oh, I'm having some issues with my neighbor and whatever.
Yeah.
There's an encroachment, there's a right of way, there's an easement issue. Oh, I remember we bought some title insurance. That's going to help with this. So I think that it's important, so that you know what you're buying. And so that if something were to happen, you know that you've got that in your back pocket if you need it. So I think just spending a little bit of time just kind of educating yourself and just making sure you know what you're buying and
Yeah.
how it can benefit you.
Yeah.
We don't want you to ever think you're just throwing money out the window or just like, oh, okay, well, we had to pay for this. We don't really even know why. I would never want someone to feel like that they didn't know the reason that they spent money on title insurance. So I
Yeah.
think that that's really important. And educating yourself doesn't mean that you have to, the buyer has to go and sit there and research all this stuff. The education could be, talking to us,
Yeah.
calling me or calling you and us getting
Yeah.
on a call or something and chatting about it. I never, like I said, I just would never want someone to feel like they didn't know what they were buying. I think it's disrespectful to their money and
Yeah.
I would not want to do that to someone.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So any last closing statements or like anything that you want buyers and sellers to know about title
Hmm.
insurance or heritage title or whatever?
So, let me think. Fun fact. No,
Yeah.
earlier we talked about a fun fact. What would a
Yeah.
fun fact be? Um, I would say just remember how important it is.
Yep.
I know that there are so many fun things that come along with purchasing or selling a home.
Yeah.
You think there's so many things that are, it's kind of, this is what I think of it kind of like a wedding.
Yeah.
Like, when you're thinking about a wedding, you think of all the fun things. Like, oh, I get to pick out a dress and I get to
Yeah.
pick out my colors and my flowers and all the things. And I'm sorry to anyone who is not into weddings watching
Yeah.
this, but you think of all these fun things. But do you also think that you need a napkin for every single person that's coming? Do you realize that you need two chairs because they
Yep.
got to sit at the ceremony? And so there's these little things that you think about, but they're important because where would
Yep.
someone sit if you didn't have that chair for them?
Yeah.
How would they wipe their mouth? Where would they wipe their mouth or their hands if they didn't have the napkin? So I think that it's
Yeah.
like that, like there are so many things you think of that are exciting and fun about buying a home, and especially
Yeah.
if you're a new homeowner, or if you've bought a million properties,
Yeah.
it's still exciting. It's a new purchase. It's something, maybe it's a new project, and there's all these things you have in your mind that
Yeah.
you get to do to the property or the home. And
Mhm.
maybe you can't wait, just to get your keys and, walk in the front
Yeah.
door. And I think that's wonderful. And maybe you're thinking about turning on the lights and the power and all of that. But think of us as one of those, we're something that is really important too. And I would argue one of the most important things,
Yeah.
and maybe not the most glamorous by any means, but one of the most important things is title insurance. And you want to make sure that you're protected. You want to make sure that when you lay your head down at night, that you know that your property is safe and your title to your property is safe. And I think that there's huge, huge benefit to that peace of mind.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely, especially with like so many things I deal with. I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh, if they don't have title insurance, what would they do? I mean,
I
like
know.
every,
I know. And it's not something like I said, it's not you whatever you hope you never have to,
yeah,
but if you do have to file a claim or something happens, you're really grateful that you have the title insurance in
yeah,
that circumstance. So
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Well,
yeah,
Mary Lauren, it's been so fabulous. I'm so
so
grateful.
fun.
that you got to come on and we got to chat all about
I
title
know.
insurance since you're
Thank
on
you for
my
having
list.
me.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
so fun. I'm so excited. I'm so grateful that you asked me to be a part of it.
oh, well, thank you again. And what I'll do is I'll have all Mary Lauren's information down below in the comments, but you can always reach out to me and DM me or call me or text me, and I can hook you up with Mary Lauren to ask her all her questions about title insurance. But thank you again for coming on, and hopefully you can come on again and talk about some
Ooh, that would be fun.
exciting,
We could talk about
yeah,
something
we
really
could do like
fun.
the craziest you know, title issues you've seen. That would
That
be
would
fun.
be fun.
That would be
I could,
very fun.
I probably have a lot in mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to like research it. You have to research it and we can come on and talk about like the worst title nightmares. That would be
Oh, we
that
did
would
a
be fun.
class on that one time. We brought
Yeah.
in an attorney to do it with us, and it was you could audibly hear the gasp in the
Oh,
room.
okay. So that's what we'll have to do. You'll have to come on and do like all the
Perfect.
title nightmares. That would be a great class. We need to,
Be a good Halloween class.
yes, we should do that. You can come on and do that, and that will be like
That's so
the
fun.
title horrors, or like we'll just do stuff. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a fabulous.
I would love to.
Yes, that sounds so great. Well, anyways, I will have Mary Lauren's information below in the comments. And again, thank you so much. It's Mary Lauren
You're welcome.
Castelloe with Heritage Tile. Thank you again.
Awesome. Thank
Hope,
you.
hope to see you soon.
All righty, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.